So your wordy teacher is going to take things to the next level now. I'll go ahead and first off, I'll comment this one. And I'll do it here as well. I comment it out. Boop, 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 boop. There you go. I'll do this for this whole text as well. And then I'll do it over here. Okay. I'm going to go back to the start, you see. I'm going to apply a general reset, which is very, very, very common. It's smaller than the ones I showed you before, but it's like the really just, that's where everything starts. It's going to be a reset. So general reset is going in here. You see it leaves the links, it leaves a lot of things going on here, but it's a general reset. So I usually do them much larger than this, but this is so common to start off when you're trying styles. When you're starting off, you don't want, paddings that you don't expect, box sizes you don't expect, or margins you don't expect. You definitely don't want that. So you do the very least you can do in this. Is it. So then we have default styling, which is the next process. First, you reset things, and then you style things in a way that it is easy to say. So like basically put in in Word, you have a template, right? In Word, you can have a template of, I'm using these. Mostly I will use these kind of fonts. Mostly I will use these kind of colors, and then suddenly you are going to like do that mostly, but then you will, make changes to that. So that very templates is going to be helping you to write a little bit of code to do most of the default stuff, and then you add extra changes to that wherever needed. So the default styling is doing that in this case. So it changes my font family, line height. Things are easy to read. So 1.5 is very large, but now a color of specific text, font sizes, and so on and so forth. So this is what the code did. It had some kind of easy font value. And you see, I'm using elements here. And when you do the default styling, you're still most of the time doing things using element selectors, because you don't know which kind of classes will be available for you. When you're in the process of putting a default styling where things is going to be, this is the way most things are going to look if you don't do anything else with them. While you don't know. You don't know the other things are going to be put in the other content, and and new content demands you to ask yourself, which kind of structure is this, and how it's going to be, how is it, the semantic values, it's going to be a component, it's going to be utility, it's going to be both. And you have all of these questions you don't know yet. So the default styling is basically saying, well, these are the things I know. So H1s are mostly going to be these, H2, H3, H4 images are mostly going to follow these rules, and body is going to have a couple of fonts and so on. It is going to be like the basic of everything, and you can inherit from that body. Good, lovely. We have that. But in the rest of the world, when we were talking about header styling and navigation styling, we've already discussed this. You shouldn't use element selectors. So why have I? Well, that's what I wanted to start talking about in the last video, but I, withheld that until this video. It is part of this week's exercise. This week's exercise is going to be very much about you changes this over to become suitable classes and components. And so you know which this one addresses. Is this when it's going to be a class, when it's going to be a component, writing your utilities, and so on and so forth. I want you to really come to the exercise and discuss with me regarding, is this a utility, a component, a default styling, and walk that over with me, and we can discuss why it's not, why it is, why it could be either, why the gray zone is difficult to understand. That is the value of the exercise in this week. Of course, I think that is difficult, but it's also the purpose of everything. So I'm gonna remove here so you can see what the header styling is. Did that for us. Okay. Okay, cool. And now we can go ahead and we can do this as well. And I think I can go out here to 100%. You can see the things look kind of okay, not that bad. And now we go to content styling, and I'll take this one, go all the way down to the bottom, and we uncomment that one as well. This is all the content, and if I just okay, so it's not beautiful, but there is some repetition, some familiarity, things are going on here. And if you walk over all of this and understand the semantics, and you can follow it around and ask yourself questions, why are these two together? Oh yeah, okay. So these are upcoming academic events, mathematics conference and chemistry department seminars. So that is why there's a finished here, because there are no upcoming academic events out here. So the next one is something else. It's like general event and guidelines and benefits. So these are okay. It ended quite early. Why it's because it's something new. Event participation rules, benefits of attending. And these are both talking about general event guidelines and benefits. So that is, for some kind of reason, they are put together. So you can see visually they are like my thought process of putting them together. And you can start to understand the value of using the correct semantics and structure and components and so on. And at the same time, you can also talk about how do I visually strengthen that feeling. So I can say that this is something that has with it to do self to do, and then this as something that contains information that has with this title to do. That is really important to say where content belong. And where it starts and where it ends. Like I said in the very, very beginning of the basic HTML lecture, these things are important. And I think that when you're working with exercise this week, it's going to be based upon your ability to deduce how I've been working with semantics, how I've been putting out the structure, and your ability to understand the value of utilities and components. And in the end, I'll just look at your code, and maybe hopefully you've utilities and components that make things look exactly like this without using any other kind of selectors. And if you haven't, maybe you have done it even better. That is why my hope. And then I meet you at exercise. And that means that basically the exercise files, you already have them. These are the exercise files we will work from. And I don't know where you will be, because exercise files in this case is going to be, I'm going to start off that exercise by saying, I want to walk around and see what you get. And whenever I encounter something that is valuable to everyone, for everyone here to know, I'm going to raise my voice and ask them to, come around and look at it, or some and so on. And that is the purpose of collaboration and looking at different examples, how to think around things. And don't go there expecting to be correct about stuff. That is not the purpose of an exercise. An exercise is about failing or believing that you're correct and then understanding you're failing, or believing you're wrong and understanding you're correct. That is just going to be a confusing mess of you trying things, and then I'm throwing back at you whether it's within the boundaries of okay or not. if you go there with any other aspiration of getting like, oh, that you did such good work, I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, try to do the work. That is your responsibility to do, and I'm going to help you improve your thought process around it as much as I can. Thank you very much. I hope I can see you on the exercise. And then before you do that, I want you to also do the next process before, and that is actually taking part of this week's lesson. This week's lesson is pre-recorded many years before with different kind of focus than I have right now, and not as good at coding and a studio equipment as I have right now. Now it's perfectly possible that you can use this very well, but in the future I'll introduce a new lesson in this week. I haven't been able to record it as well, so I think this video will be plenty enough to teach you, and you can follow along and you'll get very far with it. But I don't want you to think that it's I just suddenly shift to Swedish for some reason. I don't. This is an older video, but it serves its purpose. So please take that lesson very seriously. It's not a playlist. It is a video within a playlist, but that video in itself is kind of long, but it has a lot of chapters. So please use those chapters to your advantage. Instead of just jumping from video to video, you're following chapters. Best of wishes. I'll see you on the exercise.